So here we are back at the canyon, and this time we're not doing part 4. This time we're doing something different. This time I'm taking a suggestion, and I'm going to make exactly what it says and explain every single thing that I do with it, just to make sure you guys follow along. So this one is really meant for people that really know the basics a lot better. If you don't know the basics, you can still watch it and just try your best to understand what's going on. It's good practice. And if you already know the basics, I'd suggest following along. And I'll suggest different points where you can edit it to your liking. So this one's a shout out to Hazard, my main man, Hazard Uchiha. There he is. We're going to be making a fireball, and I like to think about the fireball from Dark Souls. 3 specifically, because that's the only one I've played a pyromancer in before. So we're going to start off here. We're going to insert a tool. And because we're inserting a tool, we're going to have to insert a part inside of it and call it handle. Now I'm going to try my best to make this thing look exactly like the one from Dark Souls. So this obviously doesn't look like a fireball. So let's change the property real quick to a ball right there. It's probably going to be about maybe a little bit smaller. Alright, that seems good. Let's make sure we change the surface of it so it's all smooth. And I guess neon's obviously an okay idea here. We want to change that to neon so it glows. What's a good fire color? I guess this is an okay fire color. Red could work too. It's up to you guys what you want. I think I'll stick with yellow though. No, you know what? That's a good color for a fireball. So let's also make some fire in it real quick too. So I'm going to insert a particle emitter into the handle right here. Now obviously right now nothing I'm really doing is scripting. I'm just kind of editing properties, but I'll get to the scripting later. I'm setting up for it though. We want to have a short lifetime for less lag. We don't want it to have any speed. Let's give it some rotation. Not rotation, you can put 2 values in. Min and max of 0 to 360 is obviously a full rotation of any random generation of rotation. And same thing with this. I like to give it really large value so it spins, but that looks kind of stupid. So let's find a nice decal or decal, whatever you want. I used to call it decals when I was a lot younger, but it's called decals. So you can look up fire. I like to actually look up fire particle, something like that. And down here, these little options so you can see what you're actually looking at here. This first one doesn't look too bad. Oopsie. Let's copy its texture and put it into this and see how that looks. Ooh, that doesn't look too good. Maybe it's because it's spinning too fast, though. Maybe I'll just make it more casual. If you want light emission as 1 and have this red. And also let's add a nice color change in the middle of that. Maybe not fully. Okay, so we're getting somewhere right here. We're getting somewhere. I don't like the particle though. I'm going to switch over to this one. That one might appear to be cooler looking. Oh, there we go. That looks like a nice fireball, if you ask me. Now let's add a little bit of size difference here. We're going to drag these both down to 0 and then put a little one in the middle so it kind of goes out. Actually, it'd be cool if I kind of make little humps like this, so then it kind of, yep, look at that. I'm going to lower the lightness of the brightness of the world real quick so you can see that better. Maybe lower the light emission a bit too. There we go. Ooh. So as you can see, it's already kind of emitting some particles. If I make this maybe 2 seconds, it's going to take a little bit longer. There you go. Yeah, that's looking good. Let's give it a little bit more speed on those rotations. And then as it progresses in its lifetime, let's make it turn more transparent. Maybe not as quickly though. Let's make it just kind of a sharp edge there. There we go. And this looks ugly when I walk around, so we're going to set it to lock to part. That way it's always on me. Yep, there we go. Looks good so far. And now we have the nice building portion of this done. Well, let's move on to the next part. Before we get to scripting again, we're going to make a new place, and make sure you have Roblox's animation plugin, because I want to make an animation for this, because animations make things look better. if you have the plugin for animations, it should be something like this. It won't have create and edit joint, those are my own things, and it also have a bunch more rigs than just this one, but you want to create the block rig or whatever one you want. Click the animation editor, then click the rig, and you open up the animation editor. It won't look, it might look different from this because they always change it, and mine's kind of might be an older version, but the idea is the same. What we're going to want to do is, because we're going to want the arm to go back, we're going to make the arm go back as the first frame. There we go. And I think they walk to the side a bit when they do it too. So why don't we just adjust it so he's kind of working the side. Now, if we do this, this is exactly how they'll look, and it'll look really dumb because they're just kind of a moving figure. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn left arm, we're going to turn it off, we're going to turn the legs off as well. So if these three are disabled, that means 1, 2, and 3, all three of these will continue moving like they normally would, while the head, torso, and arm all turn back like this. And a nice thing to do is we copy all of this, and well, I think the animation should actually, hold on, be 1 second instead. We copy it, and copy this, Control V right there. So now it's about 0.4 seconds of him just doing this pose. And that's good, because if I didn't do that, he'd directly go to the next one. And now I think they should bring it back a bit. Hold that for maybe a second. Or 0.1 seconds, and then come back and throw it forward like that. So let's watch what that looks like. That looks good to me. It looks like a nice throwing animation. Alright, we're going to make sure the priority is action, because that'll be the highest priority animation, so it'll play over anything, so that's good. And let's just export it to my animations, name it Fireball. Description has to be there. I always make it A because it's not important. And don't press OK yet, because you want to copy this right here. So I just copied that on my keyboard. And we can leave the animation editor in workspace or anywhere. Just insert, whoopsie, an animation like that. It should come out down here. Change it to that, and now we have our animation exactly what we just did. It was that quick. And well, we'll put it in the handle now. And now I'm going to deselect this from my character, rename this to Fireball because that's cool. Script. Now we're gonna now add the script to this, and it's gonna be, this is for filtering enabled. I think everyone should learn how to use that instead of just normal scripting. So we're gonna be using a local script inside the tool, a normal script, and one remote event should be all we need there. And so let's set up something here. Let's say local tool, or yeah, is script.Parent, play equal game.Players.Play, or local player, which is how you refer to the player object in a local script. It only works. Mouse is equal to play GetMouse. This is the player's mouse for input. And there's the player's character, which might be important or not, but probably for positioning reasons. But it's always good to have that on there as well. Actually, we should also find the character's humanoid. Alright, now we're going to do this. Tool.Activated connect function. Oopsie, I missed a parentheses there, that's okay. Now, activated for the event for tools plays when you click or activate a tool on a Xbox controller. I guess it'd be your right trigger, and on a phone or tablet it'd just be clicking the screen or tapping the screen. So we're also going to add a little bit of a cooldown, so we're going to say local n equals true, and if n equal false, then return n. Right, there's multiple ways to do this. The fastest way I do it is local if not n, then return n. Basically saying, oh, then I forgot the then, is if n right here is false, which is also the same thing as not n, then return the function, this function, which means stop it completely. Another way to do this is if n equal true, then, and that way it only runs what's in here, but I'm going to do if not n then. And then I set it to false, so after this checks if it's not false, then it sets it to false, so it can't be clicked twice basically. And we'll also maybe have a 0.5 second cooldown. So this will only allow us to click every 0.5 seconds. Now the next part's pretty easy. all the local script is doing is detecting the input from the character. So all we have to do is use the remote event now. So tool.RemoteEvent FireServer, because we're sending information to the server, and we have to send arguments we want to pass along. And I think the only one we have to do is mouse.Hit, which is the CFrame positioning of the mouse in the world. So that's helpful. So we'll go over to the normal script now, the server script, and we'll actually copy and paste a lot of this. Let's copy and paste almost everything here. The one thing we have to change is play, because play cannot be referred to by a local player from a local script. So we'll have to set it to script.Parent. Actually, not tool, because we already have that. Tool.Parent.Parent, which is, if you check here, tools, parent, it's a player. Okay? And we're going to have to reference that remote event again. And you type onServerEvent connect function. There we go. So the event of the remote events event is called onServerEvent, because we fired to the server with remote event FireServer right here. And the first argument it gives you is play or player, or it's just the player. So I'm going to name it play, because it's the same as this one. It doesn't really matter. And we also have mousehit. So mouse.hit is the second argument. So that's good. Now let's actually create the fireball. So what we have so far is, when in the local script, when you click, it sends information from your mouse of where you clicked. Then the server script is when that information is received. That's where we're at right now. So the first thing I guess we want to do is create that animation. So that's really quick. Which is the humanoid from earlier, LoadAnimation, Tool.Throw, and play. That'll immediately load the animation and play it. You can also make this a variable as well if you want to edit it later, such as making it A. I usually name mine anim, but A is fine, which means that later, if you wanted to, you could stop the animation if it was a looped one. So we have that, and I believe we waited, no, I don't know, we can wait 2.2 seconds, 0.2 seconds there. Because remember, it was 0.4 seconds is how long before he threw the fireball, so we're going to have this right here. Be the fireball. So we might do something here. Actually, let's not do that right now though. Let's make it 0.5. Okay, so let's make an actual fireball. Well, we made the tool's handle look like it, so let's just clone that. Now we have a clone of the fireball, or a clone of the handle, and we're going to call it the fireball. We're going to change its C-frame to the handle C-frame, because we want it to show up in the same spot. Let's see, what else do we need? We're also going to need something to move the handle, so we're going to have to insert a body velocity here. I'm going to be a BV so I remember. And body velocities just allow you to constantly set the velocity of something, so it's really good for fireballs and any kind of projectile. So let's make sure it's inside the fireball there. Let's set its max force, which is how much strength it has to move things. You can type 1e8, which means 10 to the 8th power, so 1 with 8 zeros at the end. So then we need what? We also have to set its velocity, the velocity, the direction we want it to go. So this is where it gets fun. Now the mouse has its own little thing here, so we can already use that. We know mouse hit, so mouse.hit is a C-frame value, so we can use its look vector. And look vector is the direction that a C-frame is facing, and it's in a vector 3, and velocities need vector 3s. So basically, the velocity is the direction that the mouse was looking, and we'll also give it speed. We'll multiply it by 50 to make the fireball move at 50 studs per second. Now, I don't think we need anything else. We can double check to make sure that the fireball is not collidable, and we're going to have to make it parented to workspace. So as it is right now, it should make the fireball, but the fireball is not really going to do anything interesting. So let's just test to make sure I didn't screw anything up. Ah, see, there it goes. It follows the mouse. It doesn't look very good right now, but it follows the mouse. So let's make this better, because it's lame right now. First off, we should wait a little bit longer because the throwing animation didn't sync up too well. Next, we should make it so it actually goes where the player's, or changes where the player is facing to be where you are shooting it. So we're going to do up here, make a new one, HumanoidRootPart, which is basically the centermost object of a player's, the HumanoidRootPart. And we're going to change its C-frame, or its coordinate frame, to be exactly where we need it to go. So we're going to set root.Position as its first value. So CFrame.new can have many different arguments. Depending on how many you put in, it means different things. I usually use 2 arguments, which is the position and the direction, or basically where it is and where it's going to look at. So we want the first one to be its current position, and then it's going to be looking at its current position plus where the mouse is looking. So let's try that again now. It should kind of go where we're actually firing them. Yep, it turns my character. So let's set that here as well, so that way it doesn't change much. Actually, we don't even, yeah, that's fine. Actually, let's get rid of that one. Let's always put it before it so they're stuck looking in that direction, because yeah, that's better that way. But see this, look, if I aim upwards it makes my character fall down, so we're going to have to make it so that doesn't happen. Because mousehit.lookVector has a positive Y value, so when you add it to the root's position it makes it look upwards if you are aiming upwards. So a fix for that is to make your own custom vector3 right here. So make a new vector3.value, make it LookVector.x 0. So it's the root's position plus a new vector3 value of the look vector's x direction and the look vector's y or z direction. So that's basically aiming, but keeping it on the plane of your character's humanoid root part so you don't fall over or nothing. Yeah, so see, if I am up now, I'll just look still in the direction where I shot, but just not, that's in the way, but not look my character up so he doesn't fall over or something dumb like that. So right now we're doing pretty good. This fireball's looking alright. So next, we're going to have to make the fireball do something when it hits stuff. So that's pretty simple. You're going to type fireball.touched, which is an event of the fireball. Connect it to the function here, and the argument it passes along that event gives you is what it hit. So we're going to just name it hit. And we're going to make another thing here, local 10. I use this for touch enabled. You can name it anything as well, but we'll use it just the same way you used end in the local script. So we're going to set it to true. If not 10, then return end. So false. This way it doesn't hit something like 1,000 times per second, and that's always good to do because you don't want to hit people a bunch. It'll cause insta kills no matter how much damage you do. So just a simple once, like little small way it would help. So now we have to find the enemy's humanoid. So I like to call that ehum, so I can remember. And it's going to be hit.Parent.Humanoid. That's pretty simple. But the thing is, if it hits something that doesn't have a humanoid, then it's going to break. So we're going to have to make it find first child humanoid. And if ehum, then do this. So if it finds this, then do this. You know. Simple. Ehum take damage. I don't know, 10. And also, if you want to make sure it doesn't hit, if it's hitting someone's hat and then like the hat blocks it, you can add an or and put another parent here. So now it's if the parent has a humanoid or if its parent has a humanoid, because a hat has 2 parents before you get to the character. So right now it does damage, that's good. But in general, it's not going to look much different. Let me just insert a dummy to prove that it does damage though. Well, it hit me. We'll fix that in a second. Wow, it hit me again. So it's hitting me every time, but it's still doing damage to enemies, so that's good. So how do we make sure it's not hitting us? Well, we can say if and ehum is not equal to hum, because hum is our humanoid, so we're saying and not equal to our humanoid. So now it'll only hurt them. Perfect. Let's add a cool effect though, because it needs to look cool. So cool effects are a lot more difficult. You're going to need a loop here real quick. So what I'm doing right here is that if it hits something that's not a humanoid, so else if hit is anchored and it's can't collidable, so it's like a solid object, then we're going to do for I equal 1, 10. Do. So 10 times do what I'm about to write. We're going to make part equal fireball clone, part.size equals 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So we're going to make it smaller. Part.CFrame equals fireball.CFrame. Part dot body velocity, because remember we have a body velocity inside Fireball that we're cloning. Map.random, which gives you a random value between the ones that you set. So I'm going to copy that 3 times, and then we're going to make sure that after these work, they get destroyed. So we're going to type game.debris add item part and 1 second. We should also do that for the Fireball as well. Add item Fireball 3 seconds or 4. So after 4 seconds, the Fireball will be deleted. After 1 second, the particles created by the Fireball are deleted. So let's try that. Oops, I screwed something up here. Line 36, body velocity is not a valid member of part. See what I did here is I tried to refer to the body velocity. It's actually dot velocity. There we go. That's the error there. So body velocity does exist, but it's not a property. So let me fix it now. It should work now fine. If it even gets that far. I don't know if it'll go that far. Yeah, let me shoot it lower. No effect is happening. What did I mess up this time? Oh, I forgot to put the part in workspace. And actually, yeah, that's fine. Put it in workspace. I forgot that. I always forget that. And now it'll show up and kind of do like an explosion like that. But that's kind of lame. All of it's kind of lame. So actually, let's change the body velocity max force for the Y direction, which is up and down, to 0. That way it'll be affected by gravity and look cooler when it explodes and stuff. But it'll also fall really quickly. Yeah, way too quickly, actually. Falls almost instantly. I'm going to have to fix that. That's not too good. We can make artificial gravity too, but that's kind of lame, so we're not going to do that. I guess we'll just leave it as perfectly going fine. So I guess delete the gravity part. So the Fireball works pretty good right now. Except for this effect is kind of lame. I mean, yeah, it explodes, but it looks stupid. So the way we should fix that is let's do a few things. Now remember, the particles are an exact clone of the handle or the Fireball as well. So first, let's make sure that part's body velocity max's force, or its max force, is, let's get this to 0. That way it's affected by gravity, and that way it'll look cooler. And because of that, let's also make this one, and the Y direction, going a lot stronger, because if gravity's affecting it now, it needs to go more upwards when it explodes. We're also going to remember that we set this to lock to part earlier, so let's change that back. So now it should fall down, like kind of have like a gravity effect, and even have a trail behind it. There it goes. Boom. Looks pretty good. But on the when it hits the ground, it looks kind of lame. But that's okay. When you hit a wall, it looks cool, and that's all that matters. If we want, we can change. We can put this back, or just ignore this line altogether, because maybe it wasn't too good to do that. Whoa, I forgot I also adjusted the randomness value of this as well. Let me set that back. That's if you want it to be affected by gravity. There's a ways to make gravity affect things less, but for now I won't cover that. But right now it looks pretty okay. And if we wanted to make the effect even more intense, of course we don't have to make these as small as they were, and we can also make more of them, like 30 of them. But the more you create at a single time, the laggier it's going to be when you actually make the game. See, look, I even had some frame stutter myself when I did that. See how the balls don't work? They don't flow so smoothly because there's so many of them being created. But in general, it still looks cool. Some things you can do to, make this more unique and make it more like yourself. First, you can add a sound to it. I don't really have any sounds available right now, but what you'd do is you'd insert a sound into the handle or into anything, and then call that sound to play when you did things. So like you'd type, I don't know, tool.handle.sound play. If you had a sound. That's a way to, you can still have no sound ID, but basically you copy sound and you put it in, where is it? Oh yeah, sound ID. You put it in sound ID. And then you can have your own sound. You can also change the colors of everything you want as well if you want to make this more unique to yourself. Let me delete these. You can change it, if you wanted to make like an acid ball, why don't you make it green, and the particles could be green, and I don't know, they could be affected by gravity. They could move downwards like at 50 studs per second, and it could be a lot bigger. It could be like really big. And now it's not even a fireball. It's just like, I don't even know what it is anymore. Wait, hold on. I made these. I just wanted to make these negative. So now when you throw it, it does like that. And that looks kind of cool, to be honest. I thought that was kind of cool. See that again. Woo. So yeah, there's a bunch of different things you can do with particles. You can customize this to make it whatever you want, add different sounds. But in general, this is working just fine as a fireball. So that's how you make a fireball. Really basic. I could have added a lot more complex things, a lot more safety measures, but in general, this is good enough.